Mr. Ackerman is recognized. He is the ranking member of the Subcommittee on Middle East and South Asia.
Thank you. But first, Madam Chair, I too would like to join in and pay my respects to Dan Burton, with whom I've slugged through the last 3 decades. Unlike Howard, I think under that exterior of a crusty, cantankerous old man is really a crusty, cantankerous old man. Dan, you have been an absolute challenge to us, but truly a delight and a treasure on this committee, and we are truly going to miss you. Tehran, it scarcely needs to be said, is up to no good. Iran's partnership with Venezuela, as well as its ties to Cuba, Nicaragua, and Ecuador, are rightfully of concern, and we should be closely monitoring development in these relationships to counter their efforts as sanctions busting, money laundering, regional subversion, and further development of the narco-terrorist infrastructure in the hemisphere. Iran's presence in the Western Hemisphere is totally lacking in legitimate economic or political interest. Unlike the nations in the Levant and the Arabian Gulf, which have for decades sought a security partnership with the United States to balance against the threat of Iranian radicalism, hegemonism, and subversion, the nations of the Western Hemisphere have no natural ties to Iran and do not fear us. The fact is, for almost all of them, the United States has been their partner in efforts to stabilize the region against the threats of subversion, terrorism, and external domination. So Tehran's outreach to the nations of the Western Hemisphere is justifiably met with suspicion and grave doubts about Iran's intentions. A nation that is the world's principal state sponsor of terrorism, that is responsible for the subversion throughout the Middle East, that has spent billions to avert Arab-Israeli peace through the most disgusting acts of terrorism, that every day for years has defied the clearly expressed will of the entire international community to meet its nuclear nonproliferation treaty obligations and come clean about their illicit military aspects of its military program, can't be accepted as a legitimate participant in this hemisphere's affairs. Iran is up to no good because that's what Iran is always up to. Iran is controlled by a radical theocratic dictatorship with grand ambitions and appetites, and these tyrants rightfully sees the United States as the principal impediment for their success, and they should. We are proudly the enemy of all the Ayatollahs seek to achieve. We are opposed to their dreams of hegemony in the Arabian Gulf and throughout the Middle East. We bitterly condemn their massive and ongoing violations of the rights of the people of Iran, and we will not allow them to destroy Israel or even attempt it. We will not allow them to control the region's natural resources and, by extension, the world's economy, and most importantly, we will prevail. We will win, and they will lose. Together with our allies and partners, we will ensure the peace and contain and ultimately see the Iranian threat crumble and dissolve. The mullahs' tyranny will end, and their system will join the Soviet communism on the ash heap of history. And in the meantime, we will be vigilant about these threats in our own backyard. Ahmadinejad could rack up all the frequent flyer miles he wants, and he can figure out how to convince the people that tyranny would be better and that the waste of war is superior to the fruits of peace. He will continue to find welcome only in the most marginal and radical of states, and who can only join him in a little nasty mischief along the way to his regime's ultimate collapse. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ackerman.